Thank you. In case you just joined, I'm Sylvia Bowling and I'll be your Ginnie Mae host today. I'm a business analyst in the Office of Security Operations at Ginnie Mae, and the team is excited to welcome you to this September Modernization and Issuer Outreach Call. Please advance to the agenda slide. We have a really full agenda today. We'll start off with a brief reminder about the MAMS renewal, and then we'll be covering some updates coming to some of our applications, specifically MFPDM, Platinum, SFPDM, and RFS. And then we'll talk about some Ginnie Mae security enhancements, give you a brief heads up on liquidation event reporting, and then we'll provide a quick reminder on the PDS and RFS certification windows and a brief overview of recent APMs. So with that, I want to let you know that we'll be giving you an opportunity to provide your feedback through a survey towards the end of today's call. We use your input to improve our content and delivery, so we very much value hearing from you. And then before the end of the call, there will be time for questions and answers. Regarding call logistics, feel free to log your questions in the Q&A box, which you should find on the bottom navigation bar as we're walking through the material. We plan to open the call for questions at the end, but please feel free to log any questions you have as we proceed through the material. We also ask that you do not use chat, as the team cannot monitor this during the presentation, and the content isn't accessible if we need to follow up with you after the call. Just want to let you know that Bailey Brooks and Nicole Amaroli will be supporting us on the technology front today. So if you have any technical or Zoom questions, please direct message them. We have a lot of good information to say today, so I'm not going to delay any further. I'm going to hand you over to our team of experts who will each introduce themselves, and then we'll lead you through the material on today's call.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wade Gale. I work for BNY. I'm one of the operations manager in our group, and I'll be actually going through the master agreement management renewals with you. Next slide, please. And everybody knows it's almost that time of the year. October 1st is when Ginnie Mae usually do this. So we're just making sure we're upfront with this information so you can be prepared. Of course, you know that master agreements renewal usually starts on October 1st and it goes through the last business day of December. So we are making sure, Ginnie Mae is making sure everybody has adequate time to get this done. Just some of the key reminders, we want everybody to be a part of this. All master agreements are submitted through MGM, that's My Ginnie Mae. 3 specific forms are also uploaded along with the MJ submission. We have the HUD 11702, of course, HUD 11709, and an 11720. All those originals must be sent to the Bank of New York BNY. And also, all forms must be renewed by the end of the calendar year, except, you know, that ACH form, the ACH debit authorization 11709A, that does not need to be renewed yearly. All renewals must be processed from the first business day of October until the last business day. You're going to hear that so many times between now and the end of the year. So just be prepared. What I'll suggest, if you're the master agreement person, you handle this on a yearly basis, make sure you just October 1st, if you're good, if you know you're going to use those same accounts, just go in and do the renewals. If you have to make change, start planning that from now. So by December 31st, you're good to go, and Ginnie Mae doesn't have to actually reach out to you and say, hey, this is not done. Because you don't want, if it's not done, what happens at the start of the year. You won't be able to get to start doing your new pool. So make sure we get it done as soon as possible. If there are no changes to your forms, of course, a renewal is sufficient. You'll see on the screens how to go about doing just click on renewals, and those documents will be renewed. Issuers will receive reminders email with the subject matter, Master Agreement Renewal Package for 2025 starting in October. That's going to be a little bit different now. You're going to get certain reminder starting in October as November comes around, it increases. And also in December, it also increases. So look out for those. And of course, those are reminders. If you're good, if you're able to do them on time, and I suggest you do that, check if you know that there's certain people have to do it, check their schedule, make sure they're available during this time, make sure an authorized signer is available during this time, because that's the person going to need to submit if you're also making changes to documentation. Thank you, and reminder again, October 1st to December 31st. Any questions or concerns? Don't hesitate to send those to axjennyme@hud.gov. Thank you and happy renewal.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anita Pathak, and I'm a business analyst from Bank of New York. So I will be going through MFPDM updates. Next slide, please. So to ensure all principal and interest P&I payment change are accounted for, Ginnie Mae will move to an automated verification process. This process uses the new multifamily non-level payment acknowledgement application in My Ginnie Mae. The impacted audience for this new change are multifamily issuer with non-level payment transactions using and user holding multifamily loan delivery and pooling authorized signer functional role and multifamily investor reporting authorized signer functional roles. So the summary of changes: currently issuer use the non-level payment schedule screen in the multifamily delivery module MFPDM to enter the payment change date and P&I for all non-level payments. These terms are defined in the original loan documents and follow a predetermined schedule, meaning the P&I may either increase or decrease on specific dates throughout the loan term. So this is what MFPDM does currently. In future, after a pool is issued, but before the scheduled payment change date, Ginnie Mae will ask issuer to confirm the non-level payment detail using the new NLP application. This new electronic reminders and acknowledgement process replaces the old method of manually notifying your account executive via email. Next slide, please. The new multifamily NLP acknowledgement application in My Ginnie Mae will simplify reminders and acknowledgement communication. How it works is issuer will enter payment change date P&I in MFPDM where a pool is issued. This is happening in current production environment as well. The addition is the system will send reminders to impacted issuers 50 days before the schedule change date. For example, if a payment change date is on April 1st, 2026, the reminder is sent on February 10, 2006, followed by multiple reminders. Issuer must acknowledge and change the NLP app at least 2 business days before the effective month. Once acknowledged, the new P&I is reflected in the multifamily database. And how user can access the application would be they can log into MGM using the functional role described before, and they can go under MGM Tools menu under Other Application, and they will be seeing a link Multifamily NLP Acknowledgement. This application will become available mid-October. Additional detail will be provided in a forthcoming modernization bulletin. Next slide, please. And I am going to also explain this enhanced platinum pooling eligibility that we are doing. Next slide, please. Ginnie Mae is extending the current platinum pooling eligibility to include additional single-family pool types. The impacted audience are depositor, and the summary of changes: the single-family pool type CBD and CRG, both 15-year and 30-year terms, are now eligible for inclusion in certain existing platinum pool type. Just a note that we are not introducing any new platinum pool types, but CBD and CRG, both 15 and 30-year term, are going to be included in existing platinum pool type and broader eligibility within the current structure. So as you can see on the table, for example, CSP 30-year, currently it can underlying collateral are CRG, CSF, and CSP. With this change, the depositor can also add CBD 30-year into CSP. Similarly, for CJP, they can also add CBD 15-year underlying collateral. For MAP, we are expanding to CRG and CBD 30 years. So along with CSF, CSP, MAP, MJP, they can add CRG and CBD 30 year. And similarly, for MBP, for 15 year, along with CSF, CJP, MBP, MJM, they can now add CRG and CBD 15 years. Next slide, please. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Moyo Alakia-Pata, a project manager with Bank of New York, and I will walk you through upcoming SFPDM enhancements. Next slide, please. Ginnie Mae is rolling out several improvements to SFPDM to make your experience smoother and more efficient. So here's what's coming up. Standardized naming. The old acronym TIE is being replaced with PIT everywhere so that everything matches the MBS guide and reduces confusion. Dashboard upgrades include you will be able to now sort pools by identifier, collateral type, and selling issuer in the PIT acceptance section, which will make it easier to find what you need. Collateral visibility. Issuers will be able to see the pool collateral type and issuer details directly in the dashboard, improving transparency and functionality. New business rules for e-issuers. The mayor's min indicator will be required when the e-note indicator is true. This change is designed to improve data quality and reporting, but most e-issuers already submit this data, so it shouldn't add any extra work. We plan to have this enhancement or targeted for mid-November, and all the details will be coming up in our modernization bulletin. In short, these updates are all about making SFPDM easier to use, more consistent, and better aligned with your needs as an issuer. Next slide. These are the future enhancements that Ginnie Mae is working on, and the current updates are here. Reperforming loans. You'll be able to track modification history for reperforming loans, adding transparency to the process. Hot form access. Issuers will be able to download hot forms for PIT pools that have already been sold or transferred, simplifying documentation. LPIDD business rule update. The new rule will ensure that the last payment installment due date can't be earlier than the first payment date, helping prevent errors. Next, pool navigation. Navigating between pool details will be more intuitive, saving you time and effort. And for the digitization of PIT and the digitization of PIT e-notes, expect improvements in how PIT notifications are delivered, both in GenieNet as well as SFPDM, making it easier to stay informed. These enhancements will actually roll out in phases over the next coming months. So with more details, you will get this information in the modernization bulletin. And Ginnie Mae is continuously committed to making SFPDM smarter, faster, and easier for everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Heather John Pillay. I'm a project manager with Ginnie Mae. Let's dive in and give you an overview of the enhancements for the reporting and feedback system. Thank you. We have got a number of different enhancements. The first one is actually for the matching and suspense module, where there's the ability to gain access to the download files in the module downloads tab. And this really centralizes the loan matching results and feedback on the issuer's matching performance. We will be retiring the matching results page as part of this process. There will be a modernization bulletin next month providing additional details. The next one we've got is the removal of the MAT exception, so matching and suspense, the matching exceptions 001 through 005. This is actually going to be removing duplicative exceptions with the matching and suspense system. So issuers will continue to receive informational and action e-notifications and should refer to the mass downloads tab in RFS to locate any of their non-matching loan issues for research or corrections. So stay tuned around the November timeframe for that. There will be a mod bulletin to actually support the changes. Next slide, please. The digital collateral indicator field is our next change. This is actually visible now in PA, and it will enable the issuer to update for whether a loan is incorrectly listed as either paper or digital. So this is an editable field for the issuer role. This is accessible now, as I mentioned, and should be a saving grace for the issuers. The next one we've got is the multifamily loan and pooling activity links on screen. These are actually enabling the multifamily issuers to have direct access to the pool activity screen and the loan master data screen through links to actually be able to edit the construction and their project loans directly via the links. So this is planned to be commencing late October 2025, and again, it will be promoted with the mod bulletin. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jalissa. I'm here on behalf of the Deloitte team alongside here at Khalid to present important upcoming My Ginnie Mae security enhancements that will be implemented this November. We are implementing these enhancements to further strengthen security and clarify these user responsibilities. The most significant shift is this introduction of a brand new roles and responsibility acknowledgement process for organization administrators, which did not exist before. Now, every org admin will be required to review, and formally accept updated R&R documentation in the Access Management Console. Acceptance will be required annually, specifically every January 1st, and also whenever Ginnie Mae updates these guidelines in order to keep your privileged admin access. It is important to note that you won't need to proactively search for these updates. The system will just automatically prompt you when it's time to review and sign. And if this acknowledgement is not completed, the admin role will be revoked to ensure only compliant administrators retain this access. For the next enhancement, this will be in order to have tighter controls on account activity and RSA Secure ID soft token setup. What's new here is that you'll now have a strict 30-day window to complete your soft token setup after your role has been provisioned. Previously, there was no firm deadline. And if you don't finish in this time frame, both your token and any associated functional role will be removed. So you'll get email reminders as the 30 days approach. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to complete this setup before any access is revoked. And if you are removed from your organization's HUD 11702 form, your token and roles will also be revoked unless you're a document custodian who, which this group is exempt from this requirement. And overall, accounts will be locked after 90 days of inactivity and disabled completely after 365 days, which all functional roles and tokens will be revoked as well. Can we move to the next slide, please? So as we move forward to go live in November, expect frequent communications and clear guidance from Ginnie Mae. We're going to have modernization bulletins and reference guides. After launch, the system will prompt org admins to complete the initial roles and responsibilities acceptance. Then there's no need to manually check for changes. users should make sure to complete RSA soft token setup before the 30-day mark, responding to reminders to avoid any loss of access as well. And you'll have access to updated quick reference cards and user manuals. And then, of course, the Ginnie Mae Help Desk will continue to support you through these changes.
Good afternoon. My name is Nana Fashad, and I am the IT project manager at Ginnie Mae. Liquidation event reporting is going to be a new stream of event-driven data on loan liquidations throughout the month for single-family issuers. The main benefits are collecting loan liquidation data throughout the month helps mitigate the risk of an unscheduled principal reporting gap at month end. And it also allows for more frequent or timely disclosure of liquidations to capital market or the investor community. They can get the liquidation data more frequently throughout the month rather than having to wait for the monthly disclosure data. And also aligns Ginnie Mae with industry and how the GSEs collect and disclose on loan liquidations. And it enables Ginnie Mae to have more timely internal reporting and insight into the volume of liquidations throughout the month. Mike Solarczyk, our technical PM from VDEP, will walk you through the slides. Mike.
Oh, thanks, Nana. As Nana said, LIR is an event process. As the liquidation event happens, single-family issuers will be required to report it to Ginnie Mae. As she also said, you're currently reporting it. It's being reported per Appendix 619, the L record, and that comes in at the end of your cutoff every month. We're just trying to implement a program where as that event happens, whatever day it happens, you'll be required to report that event to Ginnie Mae. You can report it in one of three ways. There will be a mechanism within My Ginnie Mae RFS online where you can enter the event in, or utilize one of the existing file reporting methods of Secure FTP or the upload file through My Ginnie Mae. Now, can I take your attention down to the timeline that's at the lower part of this slide? Very shortly here, an APM will be published for you, laying out this requirement, and then along with it, you're going to be seeing Appendix 624, a new appendix, and updates to Chapter 17. The schedule right now we're working with is we're going to be conducting issuer testing during November and December of this year. As we get into that time period, we're going to be working with the issuers, their service providers, service bureaus, to make sure you understand what the testing requirements are and what we're expecting from those entities in terms of testing. And finally, in February of 2026, that's when we're going to implement this program, and single-family issuers will be required to comply with what we're calling Appendix 624. So that's when we'll start the reporting. Now, could you go to the next slide? If you are going to be testing, if you're one of the entities will be testing for the LIR reporting, you're going to be required to register and provide some basic information we'll need to understand what data you're going to use for your test so that we can be prepared. In terms of who will test, if you're an issuer who utilizes a service bureau or service provider, if the service bureau or service provider tests with Ginnie Mae successfully, then you'll be able to use those test results, to show that you complied with Ginnie Mae's testing requirement. All single-family issuers are going to be required to meet the requirements that will be coming out in Chapter 17 and the new Appendix 624. this is, across the board, any single family issue regarding of what service platform or how you currently provide information to Ginnie Mae. One thing to keep in mind, Appendix 619, the current pool and loan level reporting you do at the end of your cutoff, that is unchanged. You will continue to report that data just as you do today. And you can go on to the next topic.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Burton. I'm a member of the Ginnie Mae Issuer Support Team, and I will cover monthly PDS and RFS certification windows. Ginnie Mae issuers are required to complete the PDS, Payment Default Status Reporting Certification, and the RFS, Reporting and Feedback System Reporting Certification monthly. The PDS, Payment Default Status Reporting Certification window opens on the 7th business day and closes at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 14th business day. The RFS, Reporting and Feedback System Reporting Certification window opens on the 10th business day and closes at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 14th business day. Now, it is very important for issuers to have a backup person with an RSA soft token available to complete the PDS and RFS monthly reporting certification process in the event the primary user is not available. And please note, us at Issuer Support, the Ginnie Mae Issuer Support Analysts, we send reminder emails to issuers notifying them of the monthly reporting certification deadline if that certification is not completed by the 14th business day. However, this email is sent as a courtesy. Issuers should have a process in place to ensure the certification deadlines are not missed. Now, thank you.
Hey, this is Sylvia again, and I'm going to provide a brief summary of some recent APMs, if you could advance to the next slide. Thank you. So Ginnie Mae has published 3 all-participant memorandums fairly recently, and APMs are announcements that provide changes to Ginnie Mae's MBS guide. So APM 2503 was published in June of 2025 and announced the removal of the 10% cap on buy-down loans in the custom single-family pool type. APM 2504 was published also in June 23rd, 2025, and it updated the APM that was published previously in May, which announced an updated form for HUD 11708, request for release of documents. And the final one, most recently, was July 31st. And this APM aligns the treatment of reperforming loans with modified loans or New York Consolidation Extension and Modification Agreement loans to allow for substitution of a lost bond instrument in the case of a lost, stolen, destroyed, or missing mortgage note. So I have provided links here. What we did want to just point out is that the easiest way for you to stay abreast of changes to the guide is to actually subscribe to Ginnie Mae APM notifications. If you navigate to ginniemay.gov and go to the bottom of the screen, there's a little purple section which will allow you to enter your email and to subscribe to notifications or subscriptions. When you put in your email, it'll come up with your subscription options, and you can choose any of those that are of relevance to you. So for example, APMs, training announcements, whatever it is that you would like to receive, you can customize your preferences. And then once you've pressed submit, you'll receive all upcoming notifications by email according to your preference selection. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that the MBS guide, I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but we're just putting this out there just as a reminder. The MBS guide is a valuable resource, and you can actually go online and you can search it online, or you can download it or sections of it. So if you navigate to Ginnie Mae onto ginniemay.gov and you go to issuers, and then you go to the left under program guidelines, just above, you will have gone to the APMs that we just went through. And if you go one down to the MBS guide, the section on the right will open up, and there you'll be able to either search or download. So we just wanted to put that out as a reminder in case folks wanted to be able to navigate with that successfully. All right, I think that covers our content for today. And thank you so much to our team of experts. We hope you found the information that was shared was valuable and informative. We're going to take time now to load a survey, and we respectively request that you provide us your feedback. We really do value your input, and we're definitely keen to hear how we might serve you better in the future. You can minimize the poll and then navigate back to it at any time by going to the polls and quizzes button on the bottom of your screen. And then when you've completed all the questions, please remember to press submit before you exit the call. All righty, so while you guys are filling in the questions, what we'll do is we're going to open up the call to questions. So as I said before, you can continue using the Q&A box to enter any of your questions that you want to via text. But if you want to speak your question verbally, you have three ways. If you've dialed in from your computer, you can raise your hand and the host will unmute you, and you can talk through your question. Similarly, if you're phoned in on your phone, you can use *9 and the host will call on you by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. And then, as I said again, we'll continue answering anything that you post in the Q&A box. Alrighty, so I think right now all the Q&A items have been addressed, so keep those coming. And then if anybody wants to ask a question, this would be your opportunity.
Sylvia, we have 2 hands raised. The first being Deborah Weaver. Deborah, I'm going to take you off of mute so that you can ask your question. Deborah, can you hear us? Okay, maybe she's having some technical difficulties. I'll move on to the next hand raised from Peggy Casper. Peggy, you've been placed off of mute and should be able to ask your question now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is on the 11708. We have a lot of people that are in different locations. So I have been creating 11708s, and so that each one, there's only one name on per page that I send to different areas and have them sign and get back. And what I have been doing is putting, like, you know, if there's one name, then I put dots all the way down to the bottom so that I can get to the next page. And then when I submit it, I take all those, I delete all those out. What's the easiest way to be able to print up one form per person, and then I can submit it all together? I probably have like 5 or 6 different pages just because they're in different locations.
Peggy, this is Wade Gale. I did not hear all the questions, but if you could just try and reach out to me directly, or you could reach out to Sean, and then Sean, we can try and maybe get a meeting with you via over Teams, so we can. I did not hear all your questions. If you want to do that, so we can get to you.
I would do that, and I do have a second question. Then this should be easier.
Oh Lord. Okay.
No, it's a lot easier. So regarding the RFS feedback, it was said that the first payment date should not be prior to the prior to the first first payment date, it's going to have an error on it. Where is it? Oh, shoot. It said it was going to be a critical error if the first payment date is prior to the, shoot, I don't see it anymore. I highlighted it. Where is it? It was on the sheet for the errors, and it was a critical error for SFPDM. Oh yeah, the LLIDD, the last payment due installment date. Never mind. I thought it was to do with modifications, but it's not. So, all right. I will email you regarding the 11708.
And if you want to expand on that second question and see if we can also help you on that, that's no problem. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's good.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Peggy. Sylvia, we don't have any hands raised at this time, so we'll hand it back over to you.
Okay. We'll give folks a few minutes. I know folks are still answering questions in Q&A. So just want to take this opportunity to remind you that if following the session you suddenly remember you had a question, that you can always contact the customer service desk at askginniemay@hud.gov. So that is always an option for you to be able to get the information that you need. So I do see a hand with Judy Wells.
Judy, you have been placed off mute and should be able to ask your question now.
I apologize. I clicked it by mistake.
No problem.
Good. At least we know it works.
Yes.
Someone's got to test it for us.
Right? I'm your gal.
Awesome. All right. So now that we know that raising hands works, is if anybody's thought of a question or has something they would like to ask, feel free to use that medium. And again, you can continue answering questions. Don't have any other material to cover in the call, so we allotted time at the end to have the ability to answer your customized and specific questions. So we'll keep that going for a little bit. But in terms of new material or additional information that we have to share, we don't have any. So I understand we want to be respectful of your time. So if you need to drop, this would be great. We do want to remind you that the deck has been posted to ginniemay.gov, and Bailey has put a link to the deck in the chat. So you can either navigate it to there, or you can go via ginniemay.gov and go to issuer training and tools and resources, and you'll be able to pick it up. And again, we do plan to process this as a recording. That can take a little bit of time. So that will follow. It's not an immediate thing. And then we also want to remind you again to please subscribe to training announcements using the same subscription option at the bottom of ginniemay.gov. If you click the little button to subscribe to training announcements, any future Ginnie Mae events you'll be informed of, and you'll be able to participate. Any questions anybody want to ask? We're still answering the Q&A, but
hey Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Letitia Jefferson here. I want to jump back to some of these questions about the RSA tokens. Bailey, if it's not too much trouble, can you go back to that slide? Looks like we have a couple questions that came into the Q&A, and I want to go back over some of that content to make sure that we're clear. It's My Ginnie Mae security enhancements. Slide 15. Okay. So we had a couple of questions come in on this particular topic. One of them from Maria Garner. Maria is saying that she's an org admin and she wants to understand, does it mean that as long as the account is active, the RSA token will remain active? And so Maria, let me answer that a couple of different ways. So as an org admin, you know that you can go in and lock an account. When an account is locked, all of the functional roles and the token stay intact. Okay, so there's no impact to the functional role or the token when you take the action to lock an account. And we also know that every 90 days, if you do not update your password, your account can go inactive. That is basically a quote unquote locked status. So again, if a user does not use their account, update their password in 90 days, the account cannot be used until they unlock it, but it does not remove the functional roles or the token. Okay, in order for an account to be disabled, or what you're calling here inactive, it would have to cross over more than 365 days. It's actually 15 months. I know here we say 365. I don't know that that's completely accurate. We will double check that. But you have to go beyond that point in time. So if you're someone who has, a function in my Ginnie Mae portal that is not every month or every 90 days, you don't need to worry. Once you get the functional role and the RSA token, it will stay in place even when your account is locked until you surpass that more than a year time frame. So I'm going to give the folks on the line, our subject matter experts on the line, an opportunity to add additional color if there's something you want to add.
Yeah, I can jump in, Letitia. Thank you for that. Just to clarify with the R&R form, I know we mentioned, or Maria, you mentioned you're an org admin. That org admin privilege is a different role from your RSA token, so those won't overlap. If you, for example, don't accept your R&R form, it won't take away your token. It will just remove your org admin privileges specifically. So you will not lose your token.
Okay. So hopefully that answered the questions that you were raising, Maria. I know there were a couple in the chat. If you need additional clarity, please do come off of mute or let us know and we'll revisit that subject.
Doesn't look like we have any hands. Oh, we just had a hand go up. It looks like a phone number, 805-915. I'm going to take you off of mute and you should be able to ask your question.
Hi, no, this is Maria, and I just wanted to thank everyone for addressing my questions. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, thank you for that.
Thanks, Maria.
Okay.
Hey, Sylvia, I see another question in the Q&A. I want to jump in here. It's an anonymous attendee asking if we can provide the delivery address for the original master agreements that need to be shipped to the bank. Wade, do you mind coming off mute and talking about this one? Is this listed in the summary of addresses, in which case we can drop the link in the chat?
I think it is, Letitia. It's the new address now that all that stuff goes to Lake Mary. So if I can actually get the full address, and I can actually reach out to that person and get it to them. It's Lake Mary address. I don't remember it off my top of my head, but I think it's all there in Ginnie Mae's documentation there. But I can always provide it if that person get in touch with us.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the link to the summary of addresses in the Q&A. I do see the Lake Mary address listed there.
It's where you'll send those, the manual 11702, 11709, and 11720 form as part of your master agreements.
Wade, since you chatting, there's another question about the 756 and 11B forms. There's a question, is there an enhancement in the works to be able to bulk download those HUD forms at the draft stage, or even if they've been submitted for initial certification?
I think that we can do bulk printing on the 11705 and 11706. The 11711B, I don't think we do bulk on that. So that is something we could put on the table and speak to Ginnie Mae on. And that could be something maybe as a future enhancement we could look at in the SFPDM space.
We have a question from an anonymous attendee about e-notes. When a pool is initially certified, an e-note is produced confirming the initial certification. Lately, not all of the pools are being confirmed by an e-note. Some are missing, but a check in SFPDM and Ginnie Net confirms the initial certification of any pool that is missing its individual e-note. Any idea what is happening?
I want to start by clarifying that when we say e-note, I'm assuming we mean an RFS e-notification. Not a digital note?
They said yes,
Okay.
Letitia.
Okay, so let me say, anonymous attendee, this is my first time hearing that this is an issue, and so we will check into this and find out what might be going on. So thank you for letting us know.
It doesn't look like we have any more questions in the chat right now. And no hands are raised.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of good information presented today. I do want to thank again all the SMEs that presented the updates. Thank you for that. And again, we thank all the participants for your participation in today's call. We hope that you were able to glean some useful information and that it will be valuable for you as you navigate your work going forward. Again, please submit the survey if you haven't pressed the submit button. And again, we really appreciate you taking the time out to hear about the updates and enhancements that Ginnie Mae is doing to the various applications and processes. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you. Oh, to do